had a lot of trouble in the qualifying race. There were only 18 cars in it, 42 in this field, but on the first lap going into turn 3, we had an accident, and then when they restarted them, same thing. So let's hope it doesn't happen today as they get ready to go.
Calamity Corner would be turn 3 as these cars come up to speed, get through 1 and 2, and we'll see who gets a run down the backstretch.
As they go into turn 1, you're going to see all these cars trying to get to the bottom. I'm sure we're going to see some side-by-side racing, but the bottom groove is going to be the fastest way around.
And they're not up to full speed yet, Larry, so they run side-by-side here now. It'll be interesting to see when you get to turn 3, when they got full speed, that's when it really gets tricky. Still some of them side-by-side, though, Mike. In fact, they're 3 abreast there in one point.
Not for long. Not on this new racetrack. Steve Park hangs on a second. Elliott Sadler drifts up a bit. He's going to lose a spot. And it's a battle for the lead. Park will lead lap 1 as they go side by side to the first corner.
Boy, he was extremely fast in practice from the time he unloaded that car here on Thursday. And everybody thought he'd get the pole, but Mike McLaughlin slipped in there and got that. But he was fast yesterday in practice, Steve Park.
Now showing a lot of restraint there with Joe Nemechek going into turn number 1. That red, yellow, and blue number 87 in third. Mike McLaughlin didn't come all the way down, but Nemechek knew it was way too soon to stick his nose in there. Backed off and let McLaughlin hold on to second place for the moment. It's Park, McLaughlin, Nemechek. Jason Keller there in red and yellow in fourth place in the 57.
Nemechek taking a look on the inside of McLaughlin going into turn 1. He's got the spot.
Seems like where they're really beating Mike McLaughlin is getting into the corner.
Well, you saw him grab an extra handful of wheel there, right in the middle between turns 1 and 2. Steve Park, our leader, and trouble in turn 2, back straight away. There's Trickle, Mark Crow, Robert Presley.
Tony Stewart involved as well.
At least 4 cars wrapped up there coming off the second corner. Trickle pulls away, kind of.
Yeah, his car is pretty beat up, Mike. He's not going to be able to race that. He might get back out there, but he won't be able to race it competitive. There's Buckshot Jones in the car 00. There's a lot of damage to the car in that area, but also the back panel was gone. So, Larry, that's really going to affect the aerodynamics of the car.
Yeah, the real problem will be with this front end. You know, Ned, I've seen race cars that lost that back panel and actually improved the performance of the race car, but that front end damage with the speeds being so great here is really going to hurt the performance of this car.
All right, let's see what happened here coming off turn 2.
Well, there were almost 3 abreast as the car number 83.
That's Wayne Grubb who got into Trickle.
Yep.
And he may have had a little help too. Let's see.
Well, there you can see just a little bit of contact, and Trickle is out of shape then.
He almost got it corrected real close for Randy LaJoie, the Busch Grand National champion.
See cars going on both sides, but Mark Crow had nowhere to go in the car number 80.
Nor did Presley or Tony Stewart. First caution of the day comes early. There's your champion, Randy LaJoie, and CBS Sports coverage of the Jiffy Lube Miami 300 continues after this message and a word from your local station. 7 cars involved in the first caution of the day. Welcome back to Homestead, Florida. The final Busch race of the season, and let's have a look at how this got started, Ned.
Okay, we're coming off of turn 2, and you see right there that Dick Trickle gets a slight tap from the rear from Wayne Grubb in the 83 car. Then just a moment later, here comes the 72 car, and he makes contact also with Grubb. But Grubb gets the best end of the deal. The car number 83, you see Trickle spinning on around. Grubb goes right on through. He's okay. But the 72 car there of Mike Dillon, he goes high on the outside, and then others get involved. Here's the number 44 car of Tony Stewart, the number 47 of Robert Presley getting involved, and the number 80 of Mark Crow.
Add Brad Loney to that list, and Buckshot Jones were also involved. Ralph Shaheen is with Phil Parsons in the garage.
2 of the 42 starters have retired. The man on the move is Jimmy Spencer. In the last 10 laps, he has moved from 8th into 3rd. But the guy we're watching is Dale Earnhardt Jr., who started 14th, has moved his way into 6th spot, and is driving a very consistent race out here in those blue and yellow colors. There's Spencer, the man now in 3rd. And say, don't forget, later this afternoon, right here on CBS, Jack Sprague and Mike bring him down. We've got trouble out here on the track. Let's go back to Mike Joy.
Front straightaway, one car goes spinning into the wall. That's Jeff Crow, and everybody has to go low to miss him. Heavy, but perhaps not terminal damage to Crow's machine. He's trying to get turned around, and still drivers racing to the caution flag, taking evasive action. Not been a good day for the Crow brothers. Mark was out in the first incident of the day.
A little surprising, Larry, that Jimmy Spencer didn't make a pit stop here.
Yeah, that's halfway through a run, so I'm a little surprised myself because, you know, if this thing went green, he'd have to be in 40 laps.
Here's the tail end of what happened. You see Crow's car sitting sideways here in the middle of the racetrack.
And let's watch and listen and see what happened from our camera mounted atop the wall. Here's what Mark Martin saw. He had a bird's eye view. That's Crow just ahead of him.
Just a little bit of contact there as they came off the turn. I had watched them the lap before as they came off the turn. Mark tried to get under him and couldn't make it. And this time he thought he had a run going. Just a little bit of contact there, and around he went. It doesn't take much at that point of the racetrack. It'll send the car in a spin.
But, you know, you could almost hear Mark feathering the throttle, trying to get back to it like, you know, I'm ready to go, let's go. And finally he went and got into the back of him.
There's Mark Martin. It looked very similar to the Steve Hart, Jason Keller incident. One driver getting a run up off the corner, and you try to stay up as close as you can, and there it is. Today's Homestead race is being transmitted with Spanish language commentary. Markets where available.
Let's take a look at some comparisons here. Back in '95, on the old configuration of this mile and a half, there were 3 cautions in the first 50 laps. And in '96, there was only 1. Well, we're right back up to the top side of that mark as we get closer to 50. We're working on lap number 47 at the present time out here. And as we started the program mentioning that they're all rookie drivers, rookie luck continues for many of these competitors. Looks like this is going to have a lot of cautions in it before it's over. Back to green, and how about Glenn Allen from Cincinnati from 26 to 65.
That 2-tire change really helped Allen as we're back to green, and Spencer leads Kevin Schwine. Cornering on 4 wheels instead of the more familiar 2, and there's Dale Earnhardt Jr. right up against Tony Stewart, and around goes Stewart.
And the full field behind them, and there's Earnhardt spinning around now.
And 3 more cars, 4 more get into it.
When it happens that early up near the front, you're going to have a lot of cars involved.
It looked like the same thing that's happened 2 other times today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. just beat him back to the gas, and Tony Stewart didn't get going, and he got into him, and he come around. There you see Scott Legacy coming down pit road. Tony Stewart finally getting going. Somebody's tire and wheel laying their own racetrack.
And, of course, caution again here at lap 48. Jason Keller dragging most of the right front. That's apparently his tire up there in turn 2.
And there's Tony Stewart, car number 44.
One thing we should point out, and Ned, I'm sure James Purvis or Jeff Purvis involved as well. When 2 cars make contact like that, the car's cornering so close to the edge of control to start with that just the littlest touch that if the driver behind backs off right away, even so, isn't the damage done?
Yeah, the damage is already done, yes. And especially coming off the turn, when you're accelerating, you're almost out of control coming off of there anyway. And so just the slightest little bit of a touch will send it around. And also, sometimes when they're running, as fast as they're running on this racetrack now, with the new configuration, when they come off of that corner with one right up under the nose of another car, or the back end, to have a nose up under the back end of another car, you can loosen that car up, take the air off the spoiler, as we say, and that will help to make him looser. He might have to back off just momentarily coming off of the corner.
It's making him where he cannot get back to the throttle right open. Exactly.
Let's have another look at what happened up here in turn 2 and just how little contact it takes to create major trouble.
Well, this was some of the things that was going on behind the accident, I believe. There's Jason Keller coming up there as the 4 car slowed down, and he gets up on top of Jeff Purvis. There's Mike Dillon in the 72 car. He gets involved. You saw Earnhardt's car sitting on the outside, and that's Jason Keller's wheel, I believe, that we see bouncing up on the outside of the track. And there was the 22 car of Scott Legacy coming in there.
Oh, Stewart took a hard crunch into the wall.
Look at that wheel. bouncing over race cars. Thank goodness for those wheel fences.
You know, this is a case of how much trouble there can be when the third and fourth place car gets in trouble and all the cars behind them have nowhere to go.
With that barrier around.
It becomes a chain reaction type of a deal.
Purvis ended up making a left in front of all that traffic, and nobody else hit him. Let's ride with Mark Martin.
So he's not fully accelerated yet coming off that turn. Now he accelerates a little bit heavier. Then he sees the problem there, slows down, then really gets on the gas, changes gears, get out of here as quick as he can.
I believe Mark Martin has had a bird's eye view all day long of these crashes.
Jeff Fuller playing Dodgem cars here. He got in the back of Matt Kenseth and had to dodge everybody else. Let's ride with Joe Nemechek through this.
Okay, he gets up and taps the free car just a little bit, weaves his way through there, gets on the gas, gets another gear, and gets on out of there.
And there was a good example. Steve Park saw what was going on, did not get back to the gas. Nemechek didn't. He almost got in the back of Steve Park.
And there's tire. That was Jason Keller.
Well, a lot of good race cars.
All right, now, folks,
damaged here.
Watch here. Purvis will lift off the throttle. So will Teddy Christopher. Now, they're slowing down for the incident. Not everybody did.
Jason Keller's got a pretty good run coming off of there, down on the inside, and wham, right up on the side of the car of Jeff Purvis. Mike Dillon in the 72 car gets involved.
Teddy Christopher had that tire right up over him, and then Ed Barrier in 77.
Right, in the 77 car. And then Scott Legacy gets involved. Boy, a lot of good cars wrecked there.
Let's go behind pit wall. That's Jason Keller's car. Here's Ralph. Sawyer is tied for 7th in the points, and this is going to be a costly left turn. He's in the garage. So Elton Sawyer's season is over. Ralph has more.
Well, it was the motor that let go for Elton Sawyer. He is on his way to the garage area. Looks like his day is done, Mike.
And here's our new leader, Jimmy Spencer. Out of Berwick, Pennsylvania. This is the family-owned racing team. His dad, Ed, is here. And we've got caution.
We've got a car against the wall, turn 4.
Is that great?
And that's Kevin
Swartz. Kevin Swartz. Greg Sachs on fire there. A lot of damage to the rear.
Tough break for these guys. Good break for Jimmy Spencer. He had not made a green flag pit stop. He'll have to. I mean, he'll make one now. He was going to have to before too long. So now this will be a big break for him.
Sachs' car is totaled.
Both ends.
Now you see him moving around inside the car and drops the window net, a signal to the safety crews that he's okay. Wayne Grubb is involved, number 83 as well. Sachs have been running up near the front of the field most of the day, and he's going to jump out.
Yeah, get out of there, Greg. That fire might head towards you there in a little bit, and he sees it, and he's trying his best to get out of there. Yank that thing out and get on away from there. Good boy.
That hose he was having so much trouble with, it's a fresh air hose that goes to his helmet, and sometimes that's a downside of having hoses and things hooked to you. When you're on fire, you just can't get out quick enough.
Greg Sachs, former modified champ from up on Long Island, is okay, but look at the front end of that car. That's got body slammed into the wall. Let's show you the aftermath of what happened up here.
Well, there's Swartz coming down off the banking in the car number 88. He wanted to window.
Ned, you've seen the right side window flopping right there. That window's in there certainly for safety, and it was about to come out.
And Kevin lights him up as he tries to get back underway without losing too many positions. Greg Sachs is okay after losing a hard bout with the wall here at Miami. We'll be right back. We're back under green. 51 laps to go as Fuller in the 5 and Fedewa 33 try to hang on to the lead lap here.
I'm sure a lot of fans wonder, why can they start, if they're almost a lap down, why can the leader not come up there beside them? They had made green flag pit stops And when the leaders went into the pits under caution, actually Nemechek didn't, but when Jimmy Spencer did, he was the leader off the race at that time. So they were in front of Nemechek, and so technically they were on the lead lap, so they could start it for a similar situation to what Dale Jarrett had last weekend at Phoenix, Arizona.
Willer really getting out of shape in turn 3 and 4. He's going to go the lap down right there.
Trouble, turn 4. 2 cars were way up the racetrack, and one of them at barrier spins, cautions out, and the field is frozen right at that moment.
Now, Tim Fedewa will get his lap back right here.
Because Fedewa was out in front of Nemechek, he will get his lap back. Jeff Fuller may have been just behind Nemechek. We'll double-check that. He's side-by-side there with Michael Waltrip.
Now, Michael was 2 laps down. Michael Waltrip in car number 21, so he was trying to get one of those back. So if he crossed the start-finish line before Nemechek, well, then he got one of his laps back.
It was very borderline as to whether Nemechek, who was the leader, took the caution flag or not. These guys are racing back like they did not get the caution while ago.
Nemechek had backpedaled way out of the throttle.
Okay, it depends now. Like you said, Larry, if Nemechek didn't get the caution, there's a number of drivers, including Dale Earnhardt Jr., that got back on the lead lap there. Steve Parks, he was a lap down as a result of green flag pit stops. So this could really make a big difference here, depending on when that yellow flag was waved.
Well, Ed Barrier was one of 2 cars way up high in the groove, and he went around. So Matt Kenseth was the other. I was watching it, it looked like he just got way up in the marbles, controlled the car until the middle of 3 and 4, and couldn't turn it back down.
You know, a lot of time after a caution, if you're on hot tires and you have not changed tires, the car will be a little bit squirrely. It just won't quite grip the racetrack, because what happens, those hot tires will pick up rubber until you can get the rubber scrubbed back off when you go back racing. Sometimes the car can be a handful.